LSU, Iowa State, a 6-11 matchup here between two teams that I think stink. LSU -5 across the board is the opener. Right now, total sitting at 125. This is going to be a snoozer. Both teams offensively, absolute dreck. Conference play, both teams completely fell apart in offense. 98.7 per 100 possessions for LSU against SEC opponents. Iowa State, a dismal 94.9 in Big 12 play, where they play some pretty good defense in conference. Here's the thing. LSU deserves to be favored, but by 5 seems strong, and the market responded and such because it's down to 4.5 or 4. But some of these numbers for the Cyclones, Amal, especially in conference play, the offensive rebounding rate, 25.3, 10th in the conference, very bad. They did not get to the free throw line, 10th in Big 12 play, 25.5. How about this, though? In terms of turnover rate, 20.3% of their offensive possessions, the Cyclones, they turned it over against conference opponents. This is an LSU defense that led the SEC in defensive turnover rate. That was the 4th best defense in the SEC and ended up finishing 5th in overall defensive efficiency. Again, understand that Iowa State is the underdog here, but you go through some of the offensive numbers for LSU, and it's just as bad, man.
You're absolutely right. You know, the one thing that has to be discussed, though, when it comes to LSU, Will Wade gets fired by the LSU administration. How does that impact this Tigers team? I want to see how that plays out. You know, LSU is one of those teams in the first month of the season, you go, wow, these guys have a chance to be a challenger for the SEC crown. They really fell off. Pinson is dealing with an injury. Remember, he hurt his hand in the tournament. Pay attention to how he goes. I think that'll be crucial in this matchup. I think the number's a little bit high right now at 5, with LSU being the 5-point favorite. I just don't want to lay this with this team. But Iowa State is a hard team to back at this point in time based on the way Otzelberger's offense has performed.
Yeah, and to give you an idea, too, because we were talking about this off the air, so they get that 76-68 win over Missouri. At one point in that game, they opened up, I believe it was a 32-8 lead over Missouri, allowed the Tigers to not only cut it back into 10, but then, of course, end up only winning by 8. Like, this is an LSU team that, while they're very good defensively, their offense is going to hit some streaks where they are awful, god-awful.
I would agree with you. And one thing with LSU, they're athletic, they can defend. It should be a fun new game to watch. This is a game, though, I'll tell you, if I'm hoping Iowa State gets out to like a 5-6-0 lead early on, I will take LSU. Go ahead.
And by the way, no, just not to cut you off, but like that 5-6 point lead, like let's say it's like 5-0. Yeah. It's going to be like 5 minutes into the first half, like 10 minutes into the first half, you know?
I think LSU's a little bit more efficient on the offensive. And Iowa State, though, man, you were right. There's no Hilton magic for this team when they were playing up in Ames. Been inconsistent. I'm just not a big fan of this team.
Yeah, and that is fair. I mean, it's Alabama, but against Alabama, no, actually, never mind. I was talking about the Arkansas game. The Arkansas game, LSU ended up losing that one 77-76. That's a pretty good defensive team in Arkansas. So LSU's got some flashes here and there, but man, some of the games that I have seen from them, and they too turn the ball over at a really high rate. I would expect, so again, this total is at 125 right now. Across the board, some 124.5 start to appear. And actually, this is the cool part again. I'll re-emphasize this for those who are just joining us. You know, the spreads, they've been set now for a couple of hours. They're starting to kind of tighten up here a little bit, right? You're not seeing that much of a difference in terms of some of these shops. But Amal, if your total's better, this is where you can find your advantage early on when these numbers are getting set. For this game, for example, there's a 126 on the board and there's a 124.5 on the board. So if you want to bet this over, you want to bet this under right now, you should be able to get the best number available to you right now.
I tend to agree with you. I mean, this is really interesting in terms of what your options are. And you talked about it. This is where you kind of got to seize those things if you like it already.
Get prepared for all the madness with VSiN's Tournament Betting Guide, daily best bet emails, plus full access to VSiN through April 5th for only $19 at VSiN.com/madness.